Annyeong, it's Mikey here, and guys, thank you so much for all of your support. I can't believe I've gotten this far. It's already past 4,200 subscribers, which is insane. I can't even believe how far this channel has come. Now, today I have something really special. So Nuphy sent me out their newest launch. It's in currently pre-order state, and we're gonna go do a full review unboxing of the Kick75. So this is supposed to be a hybrid keyboard where you're able to use it as a low profile, and you're also supposed to be able to change it to a high profile. So I'm really excited to take a look. So let's get straight into the unboxing, and please make sure to like and subscribe.
So starting off with the unboxing of the Kick75. Now there's a lot to unbox here because Nuphy has sent me out 3 different boxes, and we're gonna go through every single one of them. Again, thank you Nuphy for sending me this out, because I got to really try out this new board that they're coming out with, and I'll give you guys more information further down in the video. Now, first things first, I have my knife. I'm trying to get this open. It was a little bit hard, but the first thing we're gonna unbox is gonna be the wrist rest, and Nuphy did some amazing things with this. I can't believe these boxes. I'm trying to get all the plastic off, as you can see, get all the wrapping off on every single one of these boards, not boards, they're boxes, and I'm actually quite excited to see everything that comes inside. Sorry, the first thing we're actually going to be unboxing is not the wrist rest, but it's going to be the high profile kit. So this is a kit that Nuphy is providing, and you can purchase it separately. It's going to be giving you a whole installation kit guide where you can change your Kick75 low profile version to a high profile version keyboard, and it even provides you the tool set to do so. So you get a screwdriver that allows you to be able to do this, which is awesome. Now we're going to put that to the side, and of course we're going to take a look at this wrist rest. Now, no spoilers, let's get it open and I'll take a look at what this wrist rest is about. Now, I was quite excited because I always wanted a nice low profile wrist rest, and I was hoping that Nuphy would actually provide one with this board, which was really great. This wrist rest feels amazing. Wow, the material used and the cushioning, it's amazing, guys. I'm actually really impressed with this wrist rest. It feels incredibly premium with the cushioning. Now we're gonna have to open up this box, and we all know what's inside this one. It is the Kick75, and I'm quite excited to see what this is all about. Nuphy was hyping it up quite a bit and saying how this is going to be their first ever hybrid profile keyboard where you can change. It's technically what they're saying, the world first low profile to high profile keyboard. That one, I'm going to be honest, that statement, it's a bit hard for me to say it is the world first, because I did have a video where it did have a hybrid kind of profile to it where you could do a low profile, but I mean, it was more of a medium profile, not a low profile. Now, you get all these manuals, stickers with it as well. You also, of course, get the accessories underneath, and you can see there it's a cable, keycap puller, switch puller, extra keycaps, and of course a USB dongle. It's actually separate from the keyboard when you first open up the box. Now let's take a look at the Kick75. This thing has a really cool thing. I love the transparency, honestly. The transparent look looks really good on this board. Quite impressed with this whole quality. It feels really nice in the hands. Has these nice stands that you can change the angle. Has this really cool 8-bit theme on the back, which I think is really, really cool. This thing actually looks really great. This is where the USB dongle is going to go, of course. And my goodness, guys, I'm actually quite impressed with this whole board. The build quality of the thing is actually really impressive. You also get these switches on the top for wireless, wired, or Mac Windows mode. And of course, we're going to have to weigh this board to see how much it weighs. It does feel pretty hefty, and it's 886 grams. So let's hear the sound test. So now that we've done a sound test of this board in the low profile version, now I want to give you a teardown before we even look into doing the high profile build. Now, as you can see, that's the high profile kit on the left side right there. I'm actually going to do the teardown first, and then I'll show you guys like this full taking apart and actually doing the high profile build. Now, it has a lot of screws in here. Okay, so you have a total of 8 screws that need to be removed. Luckily, they provide you the tool to do so. And I like the tip actually using my electric screwdriver. I didn't want to have to use the tool itself. So it actually fit perfectly into my electric screwdriver, which is amazing. So I got that in there, and I'm taking out all of the 8 screws. You actually have to remove that silicone bit on the top to be able to remove the 2 extra screws. And then it's actually really, really simple to take apart, which is great because when you're dealing with a board like this, specifically the one that you can actually change the profile, you don't want it to be a difficult thing to take apart, right? You want it to be as simple as possible, because the more work that's required, the more people are going to be reluctant to reluctant to actually take it apart. So we got the lid off. Let's see what's inside. Of course, I'm going to have to remove the cable that's connected to the knob, and then let's see inside this board. So as soon as we take it up, we can see that it still has a lot of cables actually still connected. We're going to have to take them all out for the battery as well as the USB port. Now, we're also going to take out the cable for the knob as well on the PCB, just so that I don't, catch anything. I want to make sure everything's perfectly well done. The corner bits, they can come off, so just be careful of that because you don't want to ruin it. So make sure you put it back, or not ruin it, sorry, because you're going to need it for when you put it together. Now, this bottom is not just a silicone, it's more of a foam, actually. I was actually kind of surprised. Like, the last boards that I tried with Nuphy was silicone-based, but it's actually a foam-based bottom. And as you can see, the battery was a 4,000 milliamp hour battery. Now, as you can see there, they do have some foam on the bottom, back of the PCB, as well as a plastic sheet. And this is just a very thin layer for the low profile version, and you also get a foam in between the PCB and the plate, and this seems to be a PC plate, which is really nice. And you know what, with the sound test, it sounded really, really great. I was actually really enjoying the sound of this board. Now, of course, we're going to go into doing the high profile build of this board, so let's go right into that. So of course, to do this thing, you have to actually remove all the keycaps and the switches, because you're going to have to actually take this apart. And that means even the stabilizers and everything has to come out, because the stabilizer and the plate is actually built for the low profile version for a low profile setting. That means like it's actually built into the PCB. It's really interesting, actually. I was quite surprised of how they did it, and impressed by it as well, actually. It was actually a really cool idea that they did, because these are regular stabilizers. These aren't low profile stabilizers. They're regular stabilizers. So first of all, we're going to take off all the foam and the plate, remove those, and then start going into doing the build. Even throughout the build, I actually had to look through the installation guide of how to do this, because it gets confusing, right? Like, you're not sure how you're supposed to remove the stabilizers. It's actually a little bit of a confusing thing. So let me show you how to do that. So let me bring up the PCB really close so you guys can have a better look. Now, the stabilizers are actually able to go right through it. Actually, like you see how the wires are actually right below and underneath the PCB. So you actually can get the clip. So you know how stabilizers have, like, these are plate mounted. So there's gonna be a clip that clips into the plate usually. This one actually clips into the PCB itself, so you can actually push it right through. So you unclip it, and then you push it straight through the PCB, and it'll actually go right through. So it goes straight through it without any issues, which is awesome. And that's all you have to do for every single stabilizer. I know it's a hassle, so I'm gonna be honest with you guys. So far, going into this high profile build, it's not super simple, and it's not a super quick process the first time around. I think after you do it once or twice, you actually will be super, super quick with it, with like being able to do it with ease, right? Doing it with like complete ease. Now, of course, the plates and the PCB aren't screwed together, so this is something to keep in mind. That means that you're gonna have to put in the switches to keep everything together. So the switches are the things that actually keep it together. I actually prefer that a lot of times because unscrewing and doing that is actually also a big hassle. So I kind of see why they went with this route with it, so that everything lines up perfectly. And sorry, as you can see, sometimes even I get tired and forget how stabilizers are supposed to be, and I put them backwards originally and then had to redo that. So just trust me, I'm not like the biggest pro in terms of doing keyboard builds all the time. Even myself makes mistakes often. Actually, I would say I make mistakes all the time. It's okay. You just have to make sure to go back and redo it, and it's completely not a big deal. Now, we got the stabilizers, and I'm actually going to be using a special different switch. So unfortunately, Nuphy didn't actually send me any high profile switches, so I'm only been sent one specific switch for this whole review, and because of that, I actually have to use my own high profile switch, which I'm using my favorite one, which is the Echo Rosewood. So this sound test for the high profile is going to be with the Echo Rosewood switches, and the keycaps I'm going to be using is actually going to be the Key Talk Do the Jobs keycaps. So we're going to first put this all back together, which is going to be quite simple, honestly. Like now I'm just putting the cables in, and then I'm going to put the top back on, put all the screws back in, and then of course we're going to go into a sound test of what the high profile sounds like with the Rosewood and the Do the Jobs Key Talk keycaps. So let me just give you a quick speed through of putting it back together. Key thing again, make sure the corners are put back properly, just so that it does fully close and you have a full seal. Those are parts that actually can come off, but it's not mean it's broken. It just means you just have to put it back together. So now that everything's put back together, let me show you what the high profile now looks like with the Key Talk Do the Jobs and with the Rosewood switches. So this is like a really cool retro themed board now with the Do the Jobs, which is like a really retro themed keycap set. I think it actually kind of reminds me a lot of a Game Boy if you really look at it, which is really cool. I think it really does fit together. But let's do a sound test of this high profile. So my thoughts on the high profile. So the high profile, I think, is quite interesting. I mean, with the Rosewood switches, of course, the Rosewoods sound really great. I really love how the Rosewoods sound in general. To be fair, though, Rosewood I find is usually a lot more creamy sounding than on other boards. Specifically, my Mchos, which you can actually go check out my top 5 creamy switches video, and you can hear the sound test on my Mchos with it. I think in general, though, there's not there's some flex with this board, but it's not a lot of flex. It actually is kind of, I would say, a little bit tight in terms of the flex, and specifically with the high profile. Now, I personally prefer the low profile of this board. I'm thinking with the whole high profile is like, I guess it depends, right? So when you are using this board, this is nice to have because you can have 2 different versions of this board, right? Meaning, depending on how you feel or what you're wanting, you can switch it up whichever way. I don't know how many people are actually going to be switching it often because it does take a lot of work, but of course you can, right? It means like if you're on traveling or needing to use it portably, having it in the low profile mode would be, of course, much easier. And then when you're home and playing games, maybe a high profile just works better for you than, say, the low profile. I think in terms of for myself personally, I like the low profile a lot more. Uh, like it sounds great, right? It does sound great with the rosewood switches. I don't know what it's going to sound like with the other switches, unfortunately, because I don't have them and I wasn't sent them, so I had to do that with mine. Now, Nuphy's Kick75 does provide different keycap sets, which you can actually get Keytalk ones. So it is from the same company, the Keytalk. And I actually love Keytalk's keycaps. Like I love their keycaps. I think the materials they use is really great, and the designs are really, really awesome. They're actually one of my favorite keycap set companies. And but I'd say for this one, like with this board, I don't know. Let's look at the low profile, right? Let's take a look and see. I personally love this look. This look is amazing with this board, and I would say the low profile just feels so much better. It feels incredible to use in the low profile mode. In general, this plastic quality that they use, like with the transparent, was really well done. I actually have to give them props on this because I checked out like the Air 75 and because my friend had one, and the build quality in the Air 75 compared to this is just a completely different level. This is a really good quality plastic board. I was actually impressed. And I don't want to be that person that just goes, oh my goodness, like this company sent it to me. This is the best thing ever. No, it's actually because I was comparing it with them. And honestly, like even comparing it with, say, the low free that I tried, the low free light, this plastic quality just feels much better. It actually feels like they put a lot of work into this material. And this is one big con of this board, though. I don't see why the wired has to be turned on to be used as wired. I think it would have been nicer if they just had it as wireless or off. And then off means you can use it wired. With like anytime a cable is plugged in, it works. I do love the fact that they do provide a slot for the USB dongle. It's really nice. But yeah, it's just a con in my perspective that you actually have to turn on the board to use it as a wired keyboard. And if it's turned off, you can't. Like if you plug in a cable, it won't work, which is just unfortunate. I'm just not a big fan of that. But let me show you which which switch they sent me. And this is going to be the Gateron Red. So they sent me the red switch instead of any of the other ones. I wish I actually could try out the other switches. It would have been really nice to be able to, but I actually like this one. It is kind of scratchy, so it is slightly scratchy. Just keep in mind that it is a slightly scratchy switch. That's what I felt while using them. Most of the switches is really smooth, but here and there, I did find that some of them were a little bit scratchy. They do sound really nice, so like in the low profile version of this, it sounds actually really, really nice. I was actually quite impressed with it. It felt incredibly like it's almost, I would say it's like a thocky clack. Like it's not super, super deep sounding, but I did really, really enjoy it. And it does feel great to type on. I've been using it specifically for work and such, but it's been nice. Now, the rosewood switch. So this is the one that I use. And as you can see, do you see the pins there? So because this is a hybrid keyboard, and Nuphy was actually just putting this on their website as well, and I'll of course go into that a little bit later. They're making this a low profile that uses your regular mechanical switch pins. Now, I've mentioned this before in my chill key video and the low free video, but a lot of low profile keyboards are using different pins. And I'm not sure why it's like this proprietary thing, and Kale does it specifically, and people are matching to Kale, which is not amazing because then you can't use these switches in other boards. So see here, this is going to be like how the pins are, right? This is because you can use regular switches or these specific low profile switches with this board. Now, it does not work with Kale switches. Keep that in mind. You can't even use old Nuphy switches. That is something you're going to have to remember for this. They will not work with old Nuphy switches. Now, this is the other keyboard that I have that is low profile. It is the Chilkey ND, like the NDLP, the 75. Now, these two are actually both very similar in terms of the height. If you remember what I said before with the Chilkey wasn't as flat as a regular low profile keyboard. They're actually a little bit higher. It's actually the same height of, say, when you try to put the angles on a low profile board at max. See the low free light right there compared to the Kick75. You can also see that as well. The low free light is incredibly thin, while the Nuphy is actually a bit thicker. And then that's in the low profile setting, right? The low profile build. I'm going to use this way to measure it just to show you guys kind of the how high it gets, right? So it's about 25.7 millimeters. Let me give you just a little bit of a different angle as well. So it's 28.2 from the back. So you're 20.3 plus minus 0.1 millimeters, and then the low free is 18.4. So that kind of gives you an idea of how much bigger the Kick75 is in terms of low profile keyboards. So in terms of the sound wise, like, right, the low free is a little bit more of a creamy sound. Nuphy, this one is a little bit more of like a thok, and then the chill keys is a little bit more of like a clack. So let me just show you as well what I meant in terms of the pins though. So luckily I have the low free light on hand still, that I could actually check out the pins on this and show you guys kind of a side-by-side comparison of what I mean that the pins are different. So see how the regular mechanical switch is actually like they're complete opposite. So it's not even like the pins are different pins, it's just on opposite sides. So that's the difference in the pins, guys. It's just putting on the opposite side made it different, and now you can't use it. And now you can't put that switch in the Nuphy. I do love though the fact that Nuphy went with this route though, because that means, and I'm hoping this means, that Nuphy does it and more companies follow suit, meaning more companies will actually get low profile switches. Now, I want to go onto the pre-order site and show you guys how to do so. If you go on Nuphy's website, you can go on and see right there on the front page, the Kick75. You get all this information about the Kick75, seeing how it has the hybrid switch design. They even have the different switches. Also shows you this really nice ergonomic wrist rest. I really love this wrist rest. I'm sorry, like I really love it. It really is a nice wrist rest. It's supposed to work with the Nuphy IO. So if I go into Nuphy IO, I'm supposed to be able to use it, right? Unfortunately, because it's still not a fully done thing, I'm not able to see this board on Nuphy IO and show you guys the actual software. But hopefully in the future, you'll be able to do it and everything will be fine. And I'm sure it will be by launch time. Now you get all these different switch options. So you get total of 4 for the low profile, 4 for the high profile. I really wish they sent me the blush nano. I really want to try the blush. I think the blush would be really, really nice to try. And when I listened to the sound test, because they provide sound tests, it sounded really nice and like creamy. Now, this thing has a lot of features. It has a big battery. For a low profile keyboard, it has a 4,000 milliamp hour battery, which is really nice. Remember that the low free actually had a much smaller battery life, like in battery capacity. I just think what they did here is really cool. I wish they actually sent me this desk pad. This desk mat looks really nice. Looks really clean. Like compared to mine, like that thing looks really clean. Though I'm sure white is not the best to use for a desk mat because it will get dirty very easily. And trust me, mine has, even without me not using it and just for filming on it. So they do have 2 versions though, right? So you can choose either low profile or high profile to purchase. You also have the Nuphy IO, and you also have the QMK VIA. I was actually trying to see if it's possible to see if it comes up on VIA for the version that I received. Unfortunately, it did not, but that's fine. Now, as you guys had saw, like $89 for the low profile, $99 for the high profile, and like the QMK is going to be just $10 more expensive, and you get choices for the red switch, brown switch, blush, silver. You have different plates you can choose from as well. They also provide different keycaps, key talk ones or their own. You can also get like a desk mat and the additional swappable kit. So for $20, you can get like $19 technically the swappable kit. So you can just buy one and then pay the $19 and get the kit. You can also add extra switches for only $19 or $12. Like, it's awesome that they provide all these extra switches. Also, I would say get the wrist rest. It's only $19 extra. I mean, it's not a cheap thing, but I would highly suggest get the wrist rest. It's a really good one, honestly. I think you won't regret it. I love this keycap set, by the way. I have this one and I use it on my M-Chos. It's my favorite keycap set from Key Talk. It's incredibly nice. It feels really nice as well, guys. So this one turned to 90s. I highly recommend that one if you are looking for extra keycap set for your high profile version. Now, as you can see, like you get the different boxes. It shows you. By the way, the box that they use is a recyclable box, and you can actually feel it. They really put effort into the packaging of this, and I was also actually really impressed by the packaging as well. Now, of course, we're going to use Keyboard Inspector to quickly check, is it 1,000 polling rate? Unfortunately, I can't give you guys the latency because I don't have the tool to do so. Hopefully in the future, I will have something. But yes, you're getting 1,000 hertz from this board, which is more than enough for gaming. And even at work, this board was not too loud, and it felt really good to use, especially if you aren't requiring a numpad. Now, this is the wrist rest I was talking about. To give you guys a little bit more information about it, it is slightly high. So this wrist rest is actually currently set up for the high profile setting. You can actually take it out of there and use it as a tray. So that's a tray now where you can put stuff onto if you really wanted to. And now you have it in a low profile mode. Nuphy really put a lot of effort into this wrist rest, and I can tell. And I'm surprised they're only charging $19 for it, honestly. Like my wrist rest that I purchased before was like $30, the wooden one, and I prefer this wrist rest more than that because it's so comfy. I love this theme that they did on the back, this 8-bit theme. I really am impressed with like the amount of work and effort they put into this board. I honestly highly recommend just taking a look at least. I'll have the link in the description because it's an interesting board.
Now, let me know down below what your guys' thoughts are on the Kick75. I'm going to be honest with you, I was quite impressed with this Kick75. And the reason being is the plastic build on this case is actually really, really premium feeling. Like it's actually well done. I love this transparent look. And I'm going to be honest, when I first saw what they were sending me, when they were like contacting me, I thought it was going to be like, oh man, this is going to be just another plastic board from Nuphy, from like what I've seen with the other boards that they've done. And honestly, I was a little bit worried about the whole board itself. This one was incredibly well done. I actually am quite impressed with it. And honestly, the thing is, let me know down below in the comments what your guys' thoughts are on the Kick75. I'm actually quite impressed with what Nuphy did with this board compared to the other boards that I've seen that Nuphy's done. And I'm going to be completely honest, as I've tried my friend's Air 75, it was very, very mediocre of a board. And the reason I say that is because I felt the plastic build was actually not the greatest quality in terms of the build itself and in terms of the whole sound. Just considering the price range of it, to me, it wasn't a pull for me to even go buy a Nuphy board. This is a different story. The plastic on this build is incredibly well done. I was impressed with the whole build quality and this transparent look. I'm in love with it. I love this like retro theme that they've done. The fact that you can actually change this depending on how you feel. Meaning, I don't have like with this one board, I could do anything with it. Meaning, I can go with like a low profile, or if say I want to use it at home and I feel like a low profile is not going to be doing it for me in gaming, and I want a regular profile board, I can change this up. Of course, it's a lot of work. Gonna be honest, I feel like the way that you have to take this apart and do it is quite a lot of work. And this is definitely a different way of going about it. I had one board, and you guys saw the review of it, which was the White Fox Eclipse, and that one had the low profile version where it's just the plate is actually connected to the top of the case, and that is the plate itself. And then you can change it to a low profile if you wanted to, or you could do, well, it wasn't really a low profile, it'd be more of a medium profile, or you can just do a regular, like higher profile keyboard. This one, you actually can take it apart, make it a low profile, so it is a full low profile, or it can go into a high profile keyboard. Now, you should really go check it out. It's on Nuphy's website, as well as I have the links down in the description where you can go check out the pre-order, and I really think you should check this one out because this is actually really impressive. I'm quite pleased with what this board came out to be. And yeah, I mean, I do wish though, one caveat is I do kind of wish that maybe instead of like it all screwed in, if they actually did it with like a really strong magnet around, kind of like the ND75 LP, that would have been really cool. I think If they made the transforming from low profile to high profile a much easier switch, it would have been even better. But at the end of the day, this whole thing came out really nicely, and I'm enjoying using it. To be honest with you, this is probably going to be my mobile use keyboard. So I'll catch you guys next time, and please go check out the other videos I got.